Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Pratt from US Broadcast, and today we have Axel Technology visiting us all the way from Italy. Yes, they are actually physically here, and I'm going to introduce Marco, their CTO, momentarily, and he is going to cover XTV, which is their Playout suite, and he's going to go through the different modules of that suite, different things that come with it. He may touch upon how this integrates with other products like vMix or routers, and how it can ingest and export the files and manage your entire television studio, your entire channel as an integrated solution for Playout. And with that, I'm going to pass you guys over to him via our PTZ control. And I'm going to pass you the microphone.
Thank you.
There's a clip on there.
Yeah. I'm going to put it up. Testing mic, testing mic. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're good. Thank you, Eric. Some fast thank yous. Thank you for sure to Eric, who allowed us to come here and do this nice webinar with you. And, you know, hosting, we're here in New Hampshire with US Broadcast Distribution. Thanks to the American government who opened up the boundaries to us Europeans. And finally, after 2 years, we were it was very nice. Thanks to Simona Lippi, which is here with us. She's our sales manager, and Stefano Grego, which is also with us. He's our channel distribution director. And thank to you all, which are following this webinar and, you know, are interested in seeing our nice products. So I'm Marco Branzanti, CTO in Axel Tech. Today, we're going to talk about essentially our two softwares, two products, which are in the TV range, and especially our XTV suite. It's a Playout automation. And at the end, just a little notion on our DLG Plus, which is our CG software. So first of all, XTV. XTV is actually a suite of softwares. It runs on a Windows environment. Windows 10 is fine, Windows Server 2019. Inside the computer, what you can do is you put on a card. It could be a Blackmagic card. In this case, what I have, I have a really nice Decklink 8K Pro, which can use as a 4-channel 4K Pro. Channels are important in XTV Suite because it's a suite and does a lot of stuff. It does playout, preview, ingest, it does quality control. How do we achieve this? We have a suite of softwares. There are more than 13 software. Most of them are actually free of charge, so you can use them on other computers connected to your LAN in order to have like a real, you know, complex workflow. And let's start with the main component. The main component, of course, is the Playout. Playout automation. It's a full GUI screen, and that's kind of nice. We want it to be an environment. And of course, we have a playlist. I have like a grid style playlist. I have like more like a let's say a jingle machine visualization, which is kind of nice. And how do you create your playlist? Well, I'm going to do it very fast. You just take a couple of files, you open them, you put it on your playlist, and that's how you create the playlist. So you organize your files using Windows folders for your ads, for your movies, for your cartoons, and then you can just put it on the playlist real easy. We play from local hard disk. You can actually play from the LAN, from the network. You need the good performance, but a gigabit will do. We can play actually from a flash drive. The important thing is it's fast enough to support the transfer of the video stream. Let's talk about file formats. It's agnostic with the file format. That means you can play any file format or almost any file format known to man. You can play the easy stuff like an MP4, an MPG, a Windows Media Video. You can play the prosumer stuff like a Matroska. It's all compatible. But you can play the hard stuff as well, like MXF, XDCAM, ProRes, AVD and XHD, and others. You can play H.264 and H.265, and in the latest version, you can also play a new codec called AV1, which is really, really efficient. The system will automatically upscale and downscale the file according to the resolution you output. It will support any video codec or any audio codec. So it's very, very flexible. One thing about the resolution in the system settings, most of the time when you look at the system settings, you kind of understand how the software works. And as you see, we do not limit all the resolution. You start from normal SD up to HD, 2K, 4K, 8K. It really depends only on the video card that you have inside. I did mention that we also support Agile, we support Bluefish, we support DeckTech, we support others. So a lot of cards. You choose the card that you want. And the other thing is when you upscale and outscale automatically, you can define how the system is going to preserve the aspect ratio or treat the aspect ratio. So you can stretch it, you can add letterbox, or keep it without the letterbox. A couple of things, NDI, we support NDI, both as an output and in input mode. And the other thing, a very good treatment of the audio. So you can select the number of channels that you want to output from 2 to 16. We support all the 16 channels which are embedded in the SDI, and the system will do automatic down mixing. So if you're playing a movie which is in 5+1 and you're just going output in stereo, the system will actually down mix it, which is kind of interesting. So let's see what else we can put on the playlist. Not only files. Oh, a little mention on the why the it's so file format compatible. We use the same engine which is used by VLC, and VLC, actually everybody knows VLC for the extreme compatibility with, can play anything. Of course, we treat it differently in a more broadcast mode in order to support interlacing very well and other features. But of course, that's how. So essentially, what I always say is, if VLC can play it, we can play it also. Okay, what else can I put on the playlist? For, of course, I can manage live shows. So I can actually play out my live, and I just put it on the playlist. In this case, I don't have any live defined. Where do I define my lives? Well, I go in the settings, and I have two ways of doing this. I can do it the very traditional way. How? With a remote control of an external equipment, like we did in the old days. So I can connect a routing device on my system, and we support any serial device, RS-232 or 422. I'm talking about routing switchers. I'm talking about Blackmagic video hubs, Blackmagic ATEMs, TriCaster, and vMix. So vMix can be used, for example, as a master control. So you just define your line inputs into the vMix, and we will send the commands in order to switch from the actual files being played out in Playout to the live source, which is in the input of vMix. There is another way of doing it, and it's actually using the XPlay out as if it was a virtual video mixer. So what I'm going to do now is going to tell that I'm using an audio video device, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a video device, which is our deck link in this case. I could just choose any input on my deck link. And the interesting thing is I could enable a recording, so I could record what's actually coming in, and I define the number of seconds. And actually, I can define a delay. So I could use this system as a time shifter, maybe to delay something which is coming out of another time zone, okay? So that's how I put my lives into my playlist. The third type of source that I can have is what I call an IP source or a URL. How does this work? Well, actually, what you type into the URL URL could be an RTMP stream. So just put the RTMP. We support SRT as well, so SRT coming in. But not only, you could just copy a link from YouTube, and the link will just play on the playlist. Of course, connection has to be good, because the system monitors the stability of the video signal coming in, and if it's not good and it has some freezes or so forth, it will just skip it and pass to the next program, just because we want to be sure that our output is always good. Very well. Other features, CG. We have an internal CG engine inside, which is able to overlay complex graphics, of course, and the quality of the CG engine is very good. It's all 32-bit with transparencies, with anti-aliasing on the text, and it supports a very wide variety of objects like tickers and crawls and clocks. Of course, animations. You can use your animation in QuickTime, which is Anim, which is very popular, or in ProRes 4444, or in any sequence of bitmaps, and you can get your live animations there. How do we create these incredible templates? Well, we give you a free software, which is called the CG Composer. And the CG Composer actually allows you to compose these pages. Let me, you want to convert? Yes, I'm going to go like this, and there you have it. So I'm going to show the GUI of the CG Composer. And this allows you to insert all your objects and to have a preview also. Let's see the preview. Yeah, it's coming out here. Preview on VGA, so it won't go out on the Blackmagic. And why is it free? Well, we know that your CG guys, your graphic guys, they're artists, they like to work on their own computer at home, maybe in the evening. And so what they do is they create the templates, and then they come the next day into the TV station with their flash drive, and they just load the CG template on the Playout machine. So a very nice added value for this, a free CG composing application, okay? I want to talk to you about now the outputs of the Playout. Not only can you output, of course, an SDI and NDI, as we've already said, you also have an IP streaming output. Actually, you have two output channels. And the interesting thing is you can downscale or downconvert or change the frame rate. So I stream the output in a different format of which you have your native output on the Playout. And we support a wide variety of streaming. First of all is RTMP, which is used to go to Facebook, to YouTube, or to your website. Then we have UDP and DVP compatible streaming. This is used in transmission headends to go into the multiplexer, for example. And we also have SRT. So SRT now is becoming very popular. It means secure, reliable transport. You can encode an H.265 and all these new encoders because SRT doesn't really care which file format, which video codec you're using inside. And it allows you to deliver the stream with good quality and very low latency with error correction as well. So you can stream over the internet like RTMP with low delay, which RTMP cannot, just because you have this mechanism for correction. Okay, we've covered up most of the features of the Playout, but I want to focus on the accessory programs, which I told you are more than 13 programs. So the first one is the XIngest. XIngest is used actually to capture your live. Your live could be coming from the studio. Maybe you want to capture it and you want to rerun it on the Playout. By the way, we support play while rec. This means that you can start your recording and then just get that file, put it in the Playout, just put your mark in the Playout, press the play button, and it will actually play the file while it's growing, okay? So it's kind of interesting. You can define several types of inputs. You can input capture from your SDI cards, like the Blackmagic, for example, but we also support NDI inputs for capture and also from URL. So if you want to capture your RTMP, got a lot of capture devices here. Let me see, for your RTMP or your SRT, you just put in the URL and you can do that. Some things about codecs. So we support a lot of file formats. These are just some profiles that we created, which are the most typical. And I just want to mention some. Apple ProRes for the Mac lovers. AVC Intra, DNX HD, DVCam. This is GXF is Grass Valley. IMX is Sony. Matroska, QuickTime, typical MP4, which we'll talk about that later. I'm going to show you. And then what else do we have? Windows Media Video, XDCam, which is also a Sony protocol. Let's talk about MP4. So in an MP4 container, I can use some software-based H.264, which is the one we give, which is the Cisco Open H.264. But if you have an NVIDIA card in your computer system, you can use GPU accelerated encoding, which is obligatory if you go more than 4K or more. And we also can use the H.265 GPU encoder, which is on the GPU. So GPU encoding is built in. Also very interesting, we have a scheduler for scheduled recordings. We can send commands to routing system in order to select the video source. Oh, there's an added value here. We also have an IP streaming encoder also in the engine, in the X engine. So you could get your SDI and just stream it in SRT. You stream the live input of the X engine. One interesting thing, we recently added 24/7 logging possibilities to the X ingest. So you can use it for your low quality recording, and you can also put the timestamp on top. So you can add a layer of CG coming from the CG composer. Or you can use it for high quality 24/7 recordings, maybe for 3 or 4 days on your hard disk, and use that for reruns or editing purposes and so forth. So very interesting. It's small, but very packed with features. Let's go on with the third software that I want to show you, actually the fourth, which is the trimmer. I think that the trimmer is actually probably the best added value, the one who adds more value to the suite. First of all, it's free. Second of all, you can install it on any network computer. You can also insert a Blackmagic card to get your SDI output or HDMI output to your professional TV monitor to actually see the quality of the content. And that's why we actually call it our quality control software. Initially, it was born just to do a mark in and a mark out on the file in order to take the tails off from an ingested recording. So of course, it's a trimmer. I can go mark in, mark out, and I remember to you that it's a non-intrusive. The file actually remains as it is. So it's just metadata which is passing through the system. I can actually subdivide the clip into subclips, and that is quite nice for commercial interruptions, for example. So you can segment your clip without actually segmenting the file. You can add some metadata like a gender, and you can also make some modifications to the video characteristics. So I can say this is 4/3, so I'm actually forcing to 4/3. I can zoom in and zoom out to decide the quantity of crop I want to give to the setting, but also, the audio levels. This is kind of interesting. I can actually define the audio replay level, and that's kind of nice because I can then make all my video clips which have exactly the same audio level, so kind of nice. And then I have a very cool functions which actually allows you to do ITU 1770, which is loudness calculation. And so the system will actually calculate the loudness level for you, okay? So you can actually recalculate all the audio levels according to the standard, and we support American standard, which is ATSC 85. And one of the nicest thing, you can define secondary events. So let's say that I want to put a CG graphics on this guy. I just go on my desktop, I find my CG folder. I'm just going to put some very simple CG on top. And what the system will do is will actually show you the CG on preview, and it will preview also that on SDI, so you get the real quality which is on the output. And lately, I just want to show you, we insert some other secondary events. We call them triggers. So we have DTMF, SCTE 35 and 104. We have GPI output. We have REST API output, IP output, and batch files as well inside. So a lot of things that allow you to control external equipment. Okay, so last software I want to show you is the scheduler. The scheduler is just a simple, very simple offline playlist creation tool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open another folder, and what I can do with this folder is just get my videos from my folder, and what I'm going to do is just some very simple drag and drop. I'm going to start creating my playlist. I'm going to say to the system, when is this playlist due? No, it's going to be due from tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. So I'm going to go 07:00:00 a.m., move all. And what you're going to do afterwards is just simply save your playlist, and you can load it after on the Playout. This scheduler is free of charge also. Why? Of course, if you're going to work on your playlist, you want to be, in your office, connected to the LAN, and you just drag and drop all your files, and you're done. Okay, so Let's see. Talking generally speaking about our suite, this automation product is actually targeted towards small and medium-sized TV stations. It's a quite affordable product, very reliable, many years developing the product, and it's also very scalable in the sense that you can pack all the software on a single machine, only one server, and you can operate on that single server to do all the workflow, or you can distribute the services and the features with the free software on other computers. And you can actually put all your files, for example, on a NAS, on an NAS, on a file server, and you can make multiple instances of Playout for multi-channel Playout, multiple instances of ingest for multi-channel ingest. So this gives you the idea of how scalable also the system is. Very good. So I think oh, by the way, the software, the solution is sold in various types of integration. You can buy the software and install it on your computer, or ask us, of course, US broadcast distribution, of course, for what we call compact solution, complete service. So you get your hardware, you get your software, you get your cards inside, you get your hard drives inside according to your request. The system will be well configured and, let's say, well tested with a good burn-in, and you get your complete turnkey unit. So of course you choose what level of integration you want. Good. So next I want to talk a little bit about, very briefly, about our CG solution. DLG, our DLG Plus software is our CG software. It's the same engine that you already find inside the XTV suite. So why two products? Why do we use a different software for this? Well, XTV is integrated and will actually overlay that CG on top of the XPlayout output. So the DLG is a real key system. It's a key product. What does that mean? You can use it in external key, so you can hook up and connect the two outputs, fill and key, to your video switcher. Or for example, if you use it in master control as a channel branding solution, also filling key is nice to connect to your master control. And or you can use it in internal key mode. What does this mean? You supply a video input, the card actually keys the graphics over the video input, and on the output you will have your background with the CG. So it's only a CG product made to overlay over an existing video. So it's a different category, let's say, of product. What's nice about our DLG Plus is usually when you approach a new CG software, you don't really know how to use it. Each GUI is kind of different. So we kind of wanted to give to the GUI an impression that you're working on a video mixer. Why? When you work on a video mixer, they're all almost the same. You have a preview bus, a program bus, and here you find it on the bottom row, it's a preview. So if I want to put on there my first page, which is my Axel page, I just selected, I press the tick button on a video mixer, and that will go on air. So you really have a really good idea, really good sense of what you have in preview. And if you press that go button, that take button, that's what you're going to go on air. So the other thing, the system is divided into tabs, so you can allows you to put up to 99 pages on these tabs. And of course, you got some previews, some overlays, and so forth. So the main, let's say the main program and preview bar is what we call mutually exclusive. So if I press a button when I press it, the old page will disappear and the new page will appear. Just like if you're operating on a camera, okay? Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and when you press the button, the other one goes off there. That's called mutually exclusive. There's a cool comparison engine, is that if we have elements which are common between the old page and the new page, they won't fade out and fade in. And that's what we avoid the ping pong effect. So it's a smart comparison object. Okay, on the right side, we have another section, which we call the multi-page section, which is much more similar to your keys, upstream keys and downstream keys on the mixer. What are upstream keys and downstream keys for? They add other video sources to the main video source. So for example, if I press my A letter, I can press my B letter, my C letter, and my D letter. What I do is I'm just adding more CG on top of the background, okay? So it really is like a video mixer, okay? Really, really easy to use, very intuitive. Just takes 5 minutes, and you get the hang of it. The second thing is, where do I create all this? Well, the CG Composer, which I talked to you about before, is actually included, packaged inside the software. So what you see here under Pages is actually the CG Composer, and it allows you in real time to make your editing. So you have an edit page, and once you go out there and you go back to the main page, you can actually put it on here. Few things, very briefly. It's very well integrated with shortcuts, so you can use any type of keyboard, many types. We support an Ableton directly, which is a MIDI keyboard, but you can actually put any type of keyboard in order to trigger your pages. We have an internal scheduler, so you want to schedule some graphics, some change, you can also schedule all your events. There's a playlist inside also if you want to create a looping playlist, for example. So a lot of accessories included and bundled in the package. Let's say that this product actually is, there are certain products on the market which are very low end. They look like more like a paint, so they don't deliver a lot of quality. This is much higher than that. The quality coming out of the product is broadcast. It's 32 bits with transparencies, anti-aliasing, interlaced, smooth, etc. So it produces a very good quality output. On the other hand, on the market, there are high quality products which are always kind of hard to use. So you have to be kind of an expert to make your templates and use the product at its best. This wants to be a product that actually delivers that high quality output to you, but wants to be very simple, very easy to use, very intuitive, and achieve your results in very, very short time. So this is our DLG, and of course, we in this case also, we can integrate it in a couple of ways. You can buy only the software, and you provide your own computer, your card, etc. Or you can ask for the turnkey solution, which is a nice computer with your video card inside, and the system already configured, burnt in, and tested for you. So I think we're kind of good with the presentation. What do you think, guys? Stefano here, Gregor is, okay. Oh, we are okay. Oh, it's complete. Okay. So first of all, remember our XTV product and our DLG product. Contact Eric here in US broadcast distribution if you want any information on the product. So both information can be sales information, but also technical information. Then of course, Eric, if he needs our help, we're always available for Eric to give a hand. And well, we'll keep in touch, I think, right? Okay. Eric, I'm done. I think I'm going to pass you the microphone so you can do the finals. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being patient.
Thanks, Marco. That was an incredible 25 minutes. That was really action-packed. I don't think I've ever seen quite so much energy in such a short period of time. So we really appreciate the effort. And obviously, if you have any questions, as Marco mentioned, we're usbroadcast.co. You can reach out to Eric or Steve or Aaron or any of the people at on the sales side, and we're more than happy to help build you a solution for Playout and graphics and an entire studio if need be. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the official webinar, and we're going to leave it open for questions. So thanks for watching.